Here's a powerful and dramatic YouTube article on the Pontiac GTO evolution, 1964 first generation, without mentioning handling conditions. Pontiac GTO evolution at the birth of a legend, 1964 first generation. In the early 1960s, the American muscle car revolution didn't exist, but the fire was building a broken bar, and when it finally ignited, it didn't come from Europe. It didn't even come from a racing team. It came from a group of rebellious engineers inside Pontiac. It came from a spark of defiance. It came from three letters that changed the automotive world forever: GA broken bar ta broken bar O. This is the story of how the 1964 Pontiac GTO the first generation A transformed Detroit steel into American legend. Not just a Cara broken bar revolution on wheels. A storm is brewing. The year was 1963. America was booming, the youth culture was surging, rock and roll blasted from radios, teenagers wanted freedom, and car culture was becoming a lifestyle. But Detroit was still stuck in the past. Automakers were focused on full-size luxury cruisers. Performance, that was for racetracks, not showrooms, and big V8s were locked behind corporate policies. At General Motors, there was a rule: no mid-size car could have an engine larger than 330 cubic inches. But at Pontiac, there was a team that wasn't interested in rules. They wanted excitement, speed, power. They wanted to create something that would make young drivers drool and rival brands tremble. Leading the charge, John DeLorean, a young, sharp Pontiac engineer with bold ideas and a disregard for limits. Russ G. and Bill Collins, two performance-driven minds ready to break the mold. Together, they had one goal: sneak a big engine into a small Cara broken bar and give birth to something the world had never seen. The formula for fire. Their vision was simple, yet radical. Take the Pontiac Tempest, a modest, mid-size car, and drop in the powerful 389 cubic inch V8 from the full-size Bonneville. The result: a small car with big power, raw, loud, aggressive, a street brawler in chrome. But how would they bypass GM's engine restrictions? Easy. They made the GTO an option package, not a model. And just like that, with a line item on a spec sheet, a history was made. 1964 the GTO is born. In 1964, Pontiac offered the GTO package on the Tempest Le Mans. What did buyers get? A 389 V8 producing 325 horsepower, or 348 with the tri-power carburetor setup, dual exhausts, heavy-duty suspension, wide redline tires, hood scoops, bucket seats, and an optional 4-speed manual transmission that gave drivers full command of the beast. The price: a little over $3,000. The experience: priceless. It looked like Le Mans broken bar until it roared. It wasn't for everyone, just the bold, the wild, the rebels. Pontiac expected to sell 5,000. They sold over 32,000. America had spoken. The GTO wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural explosion. The muscle car era begins. The GTO didn't invent performance, but it gave it a new face: accessible, loud, and unapologetic. Young drivers lined up at dealerships. Street racing legends were born. The GTO became the new language of rebellion. Suddenly, every automaker wanted in. Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge, Plymouth all launched their own muscle cars. But Pontiac had fired the first shot. The GTO was the godfather, the benchmark, the one that started it all. And in 1964, it wasn't done yet. Style meets power. The first-gen 1964 GTO had timeless design cues. Dual-stacked headlights, wide chrome grille with subtle GTO badging, clean lines that blended elegance and aggression, coupe, convertible, and hardtop body styles. Inside, it was stylish but purposeful. Driver-focused gauges, a sporty 3-spoke steering wheel, and high-backed bucket seats gave it character. The GTO was more than muscle. It had swagger. It was the kind of car you parked and looked back at a broken bar every time. Tri-power the legend grows. While the base 389 V8 was impressive, Pontiac offered something more exotic: a tri-power, 3 two-barrel carburetors, one massive intake rower, 348 horses of pure Detroit muscle. When the center carb ran at idle and the outer two opened under full throttle, it sounded like a thunderstorm: deep, throaty, alive. Street racers loved it. Weekend warriors craved it. The name tri-power became sacred. It made the GTO not just a muscle car, a broken bar, but a myth in its own time. Pop culture icon. The 1964 GTO didn't just dominate streets, it invaded pop culture. Magazines praised it, car shows showcased it, songs were written about it, including Ronnie the Dayton's Little GTO that hit radio waves just months after its release. It became a symbol of status, youth, and rebellion. This wasn't your dad's car, it was yours, with the engine to prove it. The GTO became a hero of the American dream, forged in chrome and gasoline, racing spirit. Though Pontiac never officially campaigned the GTO in sanctioned racing, it earned a place in underground legends. From drag strips to backstreet races, the 1964 GTO could hold its own and often take the win. Quarter-mile times in the low 14s with tri-power and slicks made it one of the fastest cars in its class. And while some critics scoffed at its option package origins, drivers knew better. This wasn't a gimmick, it was the real deal. A blueprint for generations. The 1964 GTO set the standard. From its success came the idea that power could be affordable, that muscle didn't have to be exotic, that American youth wanted more than transportation, they wanted excitement, and the formula stuck. Big engine, small to mid-size body, loud attitude, bold design, accessible price. Over the years, that formula would spawn legends: Chevrolet S, Charger R-T, Mustang GT, Camaro Z/28A, but all of them chased the shadow of one car, the original GTO. Legacy that lives on. Though the GTO would evolve in later years, growing larger, heavier, and more aggressive through the late 60s, and the 1964 model remains pure. It was the genesis, the clean slate, the spark. And while the name GTO would fade by the mid-1970s and attempt to come back in the early 2000s, nothing would ever match the impact of that first thunderous roar in 1964. That was the year America's streets changed forever. The year Pontiac showed the world what was possible when you break the rule. Final words: the car that started it all. The 1964 Pontiac GTO isn't just a car, it's a statement. It's the car that made horsepower part of pop culture, that gave young drivers their own identity, that transformed a sleepy automotive industry into a muscle car war zone. It didn't need flashy ads or luxury branding, it had something better: soul, raw, powerful, proud. More than 6 decades later, the GTO name still sends chills, because it wasn't built for markets or trends. It was built for freedom, it was built for the street, and it was built to change everything. Long live the legend, long live the GTO. Would you like a thumbnail concept or storyboard to go with this for your YouTube channel?